I'm here with Amy, a Tesla investor since IPO in 2010. And we recently just had lunch next door at Chimes, where Crazy Rich Asians was filmed. Amy, what brings you to Singapore?
I am lucky enough to be able to come here usually once or twice a month because I fly an airplane here from San Francisco since my job is being a pilot. And Singapore is one of my absolute favorite places to come.
I'm so happy to have you here, Amy. And so, Amy's a pilot, she's an investor, and she writes a lot, covering a lot of Tesla's recent developments on X, on podcasts. So we're here today to just hear Amy's views. With so many things happening for Tesla, what does Tesla have in store in Q4 2023, and what this means for Tesla investors like us? Click subscribe to stay updated to more videos on Tesla. Now, there seems to be a lot of developments coming up. We've got the Model 3 refresh, Project Highland.
Yes.
We've got Cybertruck launch, imminent. Like, we see so many on the roads, it's pretty insane. We've got FSD 12 demo that Elon Musk just showed us a few days ago. We've got a new AI training cluster to train real-world video. And it looks like in the next few months, we're going to have a potential new Gigafactory announcement.
Yes.
So much going on. If we take a step back, what does all of this mean for Tesla?
But I think when you look at the Tesla stock from an investor perspective, which I've been an investor since 2010 in the IPO, one of the things that I've noticed is that Wall Street likes to have proof of a business and data before they include it in their models. So, for instance, Cybertruck, even though Tesla plans production of about 350,000 units a year, Wall Street's thinking maybe 50,000 Cybertrucks will be sold. So there's a big gap there, and that gap is an opportunity for retail investors. If you look at the amount of EVs even that Tesla will produce in 2030, Tesla says we want to produce 20 million EVs by 2030, and they have a very clear plan of how they're going to get there, that they're going to need possibly 10 models of cars, that they're going to have their sexy lineup, that they're going to refresh the Model 3, that Model Y is going to be the best-selling car in the world, and that the Gen 3 platform will come around and be half the price of Model 3 and affordable to a much broader market. And what was interesting is I was at Investor Day, and I was lucky enough to be in the room when Elon Musk announced Master Plan 3, and sitting behind all the Wall Street analysts. And they all believed everything that Tesla said that they would do to take the price out of the vehicle for the model for the next Gen 3. But then they all went back to Wall Street, and not a single one of them added in extra volume in their forecast for Tesla in 2030. The average in Wall Street right now is 7.5 million vehicles that Tesla will sell in 2030, not 2030.
That's pretty insane because even the current factory footprint fully ramped has close to at least 5 million.
Exactly.
Without any new next-gen vehicle.
Yes. And so what they're doing is, and I've seen this similar problem, it's hard for Wall Street because they're held to a standard to justify where they're getting their numbers and what they're basing it on. And they're asked to benchmark. But what are you going to benchmark Tesla against? What other EV company is out there that's doing what Tesla's doing? Tesla was the first. So they have no good benchmarks, and until they have the data, it's hard for them to put something in. So what they're doing is they're looking at the total number of vehicles sold around the world per year, and that's about 55, 65 million vehicles. And they're saying that Tesla can't possibly be X percentage of that amount. And that, so they're just capping Tesla no matter what they do, no matter what they announce, even if they solve FSD, they think that Tesla can't sell over 7.5 million vehicles because nobody's ever done that before. Nobody's ever had that much of a market cap before.
Which is crazy because Elon Musk says physics is a law, everything else is a recommendation. That's the whole point of disruption.
Yes.
To do something that no one else has done before.
Yeah.
So the challenge is that the analysts are often wrong. However, they're still very influential, especially with institutions.
And so that leads me to your question. So what I anticipate we'll start seeing in Q4 is a bunch of what you would call re-rates. The analysts now will start having the data that they need to update these models. They'll start having model on AI as the commute clusters come online, especially if we see an FSD licensing deal with an OEM. then that will cause a re-rate in the analyst forecast. And maybe it's not quarter four. Maybe we just start seeing some better notes coming out in quarter four. It's the second half of next year.
Yeah.
But at some point, everything that Tesla's working on that's not yet in the models has to go in. And so this is a very exciting time as an investor because of everything that you mentioned. Optimist, which is that will take longer, but the AI, both Dojo and the NVIDIA cluster supercomputer coming online, FSD, Model 3 refresh, which analysts don't even really acknowledge in their numbers yet because Tesla hasn't officially announced it. We're just going off of little breadcrumbs of publicly available data on
so much
Highland.
upside.
So much upside.
Now, when you look at all these developments that are coming, which ones do you think the markets would react most strongly to? And which ones do you think the market would not even put any valuation impact to Tesla stock at all?
Highland actually, the Model 3 refresh, if they get any type of response to it like they did to the original Model 3 unveil, where there are 15,000 reservations before people even saw the car. I was actually one of them, even though I stood in line at Fremont before the store opened up to put down a reservation for a car I hadn't seen. But that created a huge amount of buzz in Wall Street, and they're like, oh, we need to reevaluate what this company can do. And I think that if the Model 3 Highland refresh comes out, if it hits anywhere close to the rumored price point, which is going to be a much broader addressable market, because anywhere around, it's like 230,000 yuan now. If it gets down to 210,000 yuan, it's going to be a very, very compelling car. If it does that with the rumored larger battery pack, the 66 the battery pack, and if it does that with extended range and with some of the other features that it's rumored to have, if Tesla announces massive pre-orders on it, that I think will move the stock. That will cause analysts to re-rate going forward what their models say that Tesla will sell next year, the year after that, going on into 2030. Similarly, energy is very undervalued. And remember, Shanghai is building a Gigafactory.
That's right.
To do megapacks. So when that comes online, and that's not quarter four, that will be after that, but it will be very quick because this is China speed that it's going to be built, right? Once that comes online and they start booking double the energy that they're doing every quarter, and it was, remember, 222% year-over-year growth on quarter two. So that would cause Wall Street to re-rate the stock. If Tesla starts getting licensing deals, licensing out their compute and renting that out, that will re-rate the stock. So not all of this is in quarter four, but quarter four is going to be very exciting because it's setting up all those pieces, and you're going to start seeing a different momentum and view of the stock. And I've seen this before. I saw this during the Model 3 ramp. I saw it when the Model S actually came out and made it to production, because I've been just invested in the stock for so long.
It feels so exciting. And it feels like Tesla are doing so much at once. And it makes other car companies feel slower in comparison. What gives Tesla the capacity to do all this?
It's people. It's the people and its mission. So you have a very focused leader in Elon Musk and in all of those executives. So we saw on the stage during Investor Day, most of them had been with the company since IPO, which means they are all now independently wealthy. None of them have to work, but they also work. They work because they believe in the mission. They work because it feels good to feel like you're making a difference in the world. And that comes from the top on down. And we saw it when you were just doing a factory tour.
Yeah.
What did you think of the attitude and the morale of the people when you were doing the factory tour?
Very mission oriented. No one's lacking in that.
Yeah. I think that's a large part of it. And I think there's a very clear focus on the goal. I mean, they very famously have the employee handbook that's not an employee handbook.
Yeah.
They stay very, if you attend a meeting and you're not needed, you're allowed to stand up and walk out. So they just stay very focused on getting toward their clearly articulated goals: 20 million vehicles in 2030, 1 terawatt hour of energy.
Agree. And all that culture is driven from the top. I read that Elon Musk, he only has 15-minute meeting slots, and every meeting is about unsolved problems call a status report or highlight of achievements. Keep things going very quickly.
Yeah.
Now, with all of this that's happening, I want to talk about factory announcement.
Yes.
So, since Tesla built Giga Shanghai in 2019, all the new Gigafactories have been in Europe and North America. I believe that the next Gigafactory announcement will be in Asia because they want to reduce the concentration risk from China.
Yes.
Where do you think are the lead candidate countries?
I have a couple of lead candidates. Elon Musk told us that India is going to happen. However, there are logistical challenges in India, and that is that India wants all your parts as well as the car to be produced in India. So it's $5 billion to build a gigafactory. Then you need $1 billion or more for each of your suppliers' factories to be around that gigafactory. So that might take a little bit of time. It's going to happen, but is that the next factory we hear announced? Indonesia keeps saying they're going to be the next one. And if I was just looking back, and Tesla had said that, I think it was Investor Day, that they're going to do a cell factory. And they're working on another cell factory, and we know that they're actually building one in Giga Nevada right now, but they said there would be more. So Indonesia as a cell factory is definitely on my list. Otherwise, South Korea and Japan are still in the running for me. They already have a couple of the features that Tesla likes in the Gigafactory. They have a very skilled and educated workforce. They have a market for the cars right there. Japan is a better fit for Gen 3 than just because of the size of the vehicle. But they do have a market there. They have all of the supplier factories already in place. So that unlike India, they don't have to be built. And they have very attractive free trade agreements that would open up many new markets that Tesla could go into. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking?
So, great points. I lean more towards South Korea because the government's more Tesla friendly.
Yeah.
Japan it's going to be like a Germany, so it's going to be a bit more of a challenge, whereas South Korea is more receptive. And another potential location would be Thailand because of the Southeast Asia trade agreements and import taxes. Southeast Asia is 620 million people, so it's almost double the population of the United States. It's pretty substantial as well.
Huge market.
So that's my ads.
It's an absolutely huge market, and I don't think that a lot of people in the Western world, if they haven't been to Asia, appreciate the sheer enormity of an Asian city. Like when you go to a city in China, it's immense. It's like a country in and of itself that you cannot possibly accomplish Master Plan 3 without bringing India and Asia along too. Tesla definitively has to be addressing these markets.
The future is exciting. There are still Tesla investors who are in the red because they bought Tesla stock near all-time high prices in 2021 and 2022. What message do you have for them?
You know how I feel about this. So I started investing in 2010, right after the IPO. I didn't have IPO shares because you need to be an accredited investor. And I just kept buying shares every 2 weeks, and I'm still buying shares every 2 weeks. Every now and then I got greedy, tried to trade to get more shares. Would work 4 times, 5th time it wouldn't work. It would wipe out my gains. So now I've stopped that. I would have a few more shares now if I hadn't ever done that. But in the process, since 2010, I have been underwater my cost basis 5 times. I have lost over 30% on paper of my account value 14 times. And it never feels great. And you wonder if you've made a mistake. But the way that I combat that is by intensive research. I don't pay a lot of attention to the news other than did Tesla pull a permit? Has Tesla announced a new business? But I really don't care about a spin or a narrative being placed on the company. And I pay a lot of attention to what Tesla said they have announced that they're going to do. They've said they're going to announce a new factory.
Yes.
I track if that happens. I track it. We're expecting new products, right? We're expecting the Cybertruck to launch. We're expecting a refresh Model 3, even though that is not official. We're expecting 2 more energy products that were under sheet.
That's right.
The Powerwall, some new version, possibly a Powerwall and a Megapack, and then maybe a van, or there's going to be one new light commercial vehicle. So I track those things coming. And as long as I see Tesla working toward those goals and the time frame that I need to spend the money isn't anytime soon, then I can just be patient and wait for Tesla to execute. I also don't look at my account a whole lot when the value's below or going down.
Good
And I look
advice.
at it all the time when it's going up.
So manage yourself. Yeah, look at it on the green days.
Yes.
Yeah, there have been some recent green days,
There
thankfully.
have been some really nice days in the last couple days.
So we celebrate the small wins. We focus on the long-term fundamentals. Tesla is a company that, from what I've seen, promises made, promises kept. The timelines may be a bit more stretched. Something at FSD has been a 10-year journey, but version 12 seems to be a very major breakthrough.
Yes.
So a lot of people, like James Dalma, they seem to be very excited. I've never seen people like that so excited for version 12.
I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. I was not expecting what Tesla accomplished, which was bringing 300,000 lines of code down to a couple orders of magnitude. So we don't actually know the number, but we're assuming it's somewhere around 3,000 lines of code.
Crazy.
It's crazy. And so that's what's going to sit in the car is 3,000 lines of code. Now, they're going to use some of those, all that other work they did, it's not wasted. It's how they were able to write these neural nets. And the system needed some place to start training. And they can still use that on the back end if they have something else that they need to train the system on. But I wasn't expecting this. Right? And if somebody that follows it, were you expecting it?
No, not to that extent. So
No.
dramatic.
Dramatic.
And actually, there's been some other promising, like Elon Musk was saying, hardware 4 will not have FSD beta, the same capability as hardware 3 for 6 months. We just launched hardware 4 FSD beta capability.
Yeah.
In a recent poll, many of you surveyed that 69% of you said that actually FSD today is already safer than the average human driver. This is before you experience version 12.
Wow.
Same. Thank you, Amy, for sharing your perspectives. And also, it's a joy seeing you here in Singapore.
I was so happy to see you in Singapore. Last time we saw each other was in California.
That's right, 17-hour flight away. So Amy's going to take a flight soon as well.
Yeah.
If you found this video useful, you can actually come to TeslaCon, which is a Tesla Takeover Asia initiative, to learn more perspectives on Tesla from retail and institutional investors. You can follow Amy on X and click subscribe, stay updated to more videos on Tesla.